says, Your Honor, we've been here so many times in the last year and a half, but today is our day as Reese's family to speak for him. Death is never easy, but I believe that violent death is on a completely different level. And how do you explain in a few words the agony, heartache, and pain that lives in your heart after such a senseless and uncalled for death? And it's truly life-changing. We were told by our prosecutor, Mr. Baker, that two things would be addressed during trial. And now that there isn't going to be a trial, these two things need to be brought out and spoken out loud in the courtroom. Alex claimed self-defense, but not one time during all the court hearings were any names given of the people who were supposed to have jumped him. Not one time. And what is major in our minds is the fact that the brass knuckles at the scene was in fact a belt buckle from a woman's belt, made to look like brass knuckles, and the DNA on that belt buckle was inconclusive. Alex was Reese's friend at one time, and he's been at my daughter's home. Reese turned 18 on Christmas Day. He was young, still a kid, and acted like most 18-year-olds do. He wasn't a bad kid. He was not who these proceedings have made him out to be. He loved music. He was such an old soul for being so young. He was soft-hearted and always watching out for those he cared about, and we miss him so much every day. We sat and we listened to Alex's mother cry because she could only see him on Sundays. Alex is able to talk to his mom, his sister, and his family. He will see and touch his loved ones. He still has a life in front of him. And Alex took that from Reese, and Alex took a son, a brother, a grandson, a cousin, and a beloved friend. Reese will never again have what Alex still has. We will never get to see Reese's crooked smile again, or that flashy humor in his blue eyes, or those curls on his head that he was so proud of. And we will never get to hold his child. We lost all of that the night Alex decided to take that knife outside and end Reese's life. And not only did Alex stab Reese, but he took that knife back to his sister's apartment and stayed there while Reese laid on the ground dying. And that speaks volumes. We will never know the truth because Reese is not here to tell his side of it. Instead, we have traumatized kids trying to make sense of what they witnessed. So we stand here as a family, damaged, but still a family, believing you will serve justice for Reese. He can't defend himself, so we're depending on you to do that for him. Thank you for listening and allowing our words to be a part of your decision.
Thank you, Ms. Lloyd. On April 13th was the last of my son. I can't explain the damage it's done every day. I wake up and think different. I have to live the rest of my life and learn how to live without it. Look at to visit him. When it's raining, I can't visit. When there's snow, I can't find him. Alex Wimbush has been in my house with my son. I'll never know what happened, ever. It's like the truth is nowhere in this courtroom at all. And I'm just left without him. But I feel like everybody here failed him. He can't defend himself. He was somewhere in these people that supposedly did this. Why are they not charged with anything? Why is my son gone and he has a golden ticket? I don't agree with this. I don't agree with any of this. I want my son to come home. I don't care when he or if he ever does. And for the record, Reese woke up on Christmas morning. It was his birthday, and he woke me up. And he said, "Hey, Mom, I made it. I'm 18 years old. I've never been arrested, and I don't have any babies." And then we carried out his birthday from that day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, April 14th was not a good day for me. There's nothing but tragedy that rolls out of this. So my client's situation was, Your Honor, there had been an argument. They had, him and the victim in this case had an argument, and it was ongoing, and it was yelling, going back and forth. And I think it's fairly apparent from the transcript and the testimony that was taken. At one point, he was in his house, and the victim and his friends and girlfriend and stuff were somewhere else. It's in the same apartment complex, actually across from each other. I went out and seen them. The argument took place. My client was afraid that he was going to get beat up if he ever went outside. There's some things he could have done, but he didn't do. He was a young man, and I don't think he thought real wisely when he considered his options. He could have called the police and got the police there that night, maybe, and avoided the whole thing. What he did do later on, early in the morning, about, it says 2:05 a.m., I think that's about the time, he figured everything was calm, and he was going out to the car to get some cigarettes, actually cigarette butts. My client doesn't have a lot of money, and he'd run out of cigarettes, and he was just going to go grab some cigarette butts out of an ashtray in his car. When he got out there, an argument did ensue between him and the victim, and he was walking back to the house. I think it's quite clear, if you read the transcript and you listen to the testimony, my client was jumped at that point. There's little doubt. We don't have in record, and I don't know if Mr. Baker would consider putting it in, but we did have him medically evaluated, and he still suffered trauma at the University of Michigan, noted to his jawbone and in his neck. And that was, I forget how many months after, but Your Honor ordered it to be done, and we did have an examination. The detective in this matter said it was quite clear when he looked at Mr. Wimbush that he had been struck in the side of the face. It was swelling up at the time he talked to the detective. That is in the testimony. My client, Your Honor, was attacked. I don't think there's any doubt in it. He was knocked to the ground, and at that point he did take out a knife and he did stab the victim that was on top of him at that point. When he took his plea, Your Honor, he waived and he claimed self-defense, and he understands that. He did not want to risk taking this man to a trial, maybe getting convicted of something that could put him away for the rest of his life. But he does believe, Your Honor, he was acting reasonably, and maybe he was. The one thing that was not reasonable, Your Honor, was, and he understands that now, is to go out there and take this big knife with him in the first place. There's other things he could have done. He could have called the police. He could have waited, stayed at the house longer, maybe stayed in for a day or two or something, but he made some mistakes, and he understands that, Your Honor. And he's willing to accept and will accept whatever this court gives him as a sentence. He wants, Your Honor, I've talked with him a number of times. He's a very nice, calm, collected kid. I think it's a tragic mistake what he did here, and he's going to suffer some punishment for it. I know his mother did want to speak, and I told her that that's not proper, that's not allowed under the court rules. But I've talked to his parents, and he's got very good parents, and he's been well raised. And I think he will be able to put this behind him at some point, become a contributing member of society, and I doubt anything like this will ever happen to him again. He won't be involved in this kind of stuff.
Mr. Wimbush, is there anything you'd like to say in your own behalf?
I want to apologize to the Dotson family. Got to turn and face him.
Okay.
I'm sorry for what happened to your son, your grandson. From the bottom of my heart, I didn't mean that to happen to nobody. I don't want nobody to die. It's not like that. It was never like that. I loved him as a cousin, myself. That's all I have to say.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Sentence reported that you will serve 40 to 180 months with the Michigan Department of Corrections. You'll be assessed $130 crime victim rights fee, $68 in state costs, a $60 DNA fee. There will be a reimbursement or restitution of the reimbursement to the Crime Victim Rights Fund in the amount of $5,000. Lost wages to Mrs. Dotson in the amount of $4,587. A headstone in the value of $1,250. And there is, what was the additional amount?
Funeral expenses.
There's an additional amount owed for the funeral expenses that was not paid.
That would be $7,900.
It doesn't
If you take the 12,900, deduct 5,000, the victim's family was out the 7,900.
Okay. So we'll order restitution in that amount. Now, you do have the right to appeal the sentence. My bailiffs were even down to you 2 notice of right to appellate review forms. One is for our records, if you could please sign that. The other is for your records. If you wish to appeal the sentence, you would fill out the information on the form and mail it to the address listed on the front of the form within 42 days.
Your Honor, all the restitution that you just cited, none of that is in my pre-sentence report. I don't know what the $5,000 is. I don't know if lost wages, is that something that's even?
The $5,000, Judge, is compensation for the Crime Victims' Rights Fund, which is a fund for the victims of crimes that have been paid to the family to assist with funeral expenses. And that amount would be in a reimbursement to that statewide fund. The lost wages are wages that the victims, in this case mother, is claiming that she suffered as a result of this incident. The funeral expenses obviously is the balance of that funeral expense that was not covered by that victim's rights fund. So it's my understanding the total funeral expenses were $12,900. Deduct the $5,000 to the Crime Victims' Rights Fund paid, and that would leave a balance of $7,900 to the family for burial.
Your Honor, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but they weren't in the PSI, so I've got agreeing to those numbers. I don't know if
You can
they're,
request it here.
I don't know if they're all available under the statute or not. I simply don't know. I just,
Well, your client does have the right to request a restitution hearing.
I just want to note for the record.
Okay. All right, I received back a signed copy of the notice of right to appellate review. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Judge.
thank you, Your Honor.